We have a pyramid with a five-sided base or a pentagon base. I want to explain this whole issue in a slightly little different manner. It boils down to the same I've explained before, but perhaps this might make it more simplistic. Instead of then now drawing the whole top view, I'm just going to draw one line at a time. Forget about the whole pyramid in the top view. One line at a time to show you what happens. If we look at our front view, we can see our front view has a line 1 to the top point T, which is that line. That line is being intersected at this point. I repeat, line 1T or T1. I've drawn that in the top view. You can see how I've determined the distance 1. Measure 1 from the auxiliary view, I've skipped 1 in the front view, and I've measured the same distance. The same distance from point T to the XY line, I skipped T, measured that distance. That is how I got T1. So now I've got one line only, not the whole drawing. And it's been intersected at that point. So I'm going to draw a projection line from that point onto this line. From that intersecting point where the intersection or cutting line cuts this whole pyramid, it also cuts just the one line at that point. So it cuts it at this point. So that is my intersecting point. So now if we take away the part that's cut off, which is the part behind the section line, it's going to be this part of the line that's going to be from point T to my intersecting point. That's going to be the part that needs to be taken out. So the same is going to happen here. From point T to that point is going to be taken out. And what is left will be that part. So that will be 1 up to section point. So let's go on to the next line. I have now done the same with line 2T. From point T to point 2, from point T to point 2, I've drawn a line. The section line cuts line T2 at this point here. I'm now going to determine the intersecting point where the section line intersects line 2T or T2. So I take it from that point straight down onto T2. You can now see that I have a line T2, this line, that needs to fall away. It is on the wrong side or behind the section line. So from point T to intersecting part falls away. So from point T to the intersecting point falls away. So I'm going to zoom in on this. This is what I'm left with. Line 1 to intersecting, 2 to intersecting. I've now done the same with line T3. T3. I've projected point 3. I measured that distance from the auxiliary view to my XY line. I've skipped 3 and I've measured from my XY line to point 3. What I now have is an intersecting point at this place here. So I'm going to go from that point straight down onto this line. And we can see that it now intersects T3 at this point. So if I now have to take away what is behind my section line, then T3 will be taken away. This point will be taken away. From point T to my intersecting point is gone. So from point T to my intersecting point is gone. So I'm left with this part of the line. So now let's do the same with line 4 and then line 5. At this point, it can seem confusing of a lot of loose lines, but I mean, if you followed it step by step, it shouldn't be confusing. But to eliminate confusion, I am going to switch off, and I'm just going to focus on T4, T4, T4. That's all I'm going to focus on for now. Okay, we had point 4 there, so I measured the distance 4, I skipped 4, and I measured distance 4 as can be seen by those thick lines. Point T, we know that is a constant, we've done that already. And I've joined point T with point 4. So I now have T4 in my top view. I now need to find the section, which is that point on T4. So I'm going to draw a line from T4 onto T4. Let me zoom in on that one. That is my intersecting point. This is my section line. Everything behind my section line gets taken away. So from point T to my section point is now taken away. I'm going to do the same here. Let me zoom in. From point T to that point there is now been taken away. So this is left. So of line T4, that is all that is left. Let me try and get the whole thing into picture. That part of the line is left. That part of the line is left. Let me get the whole thing into picture as what we've done so far. You see, it looks like a lot of loose stuff, but at this point, we've only been doing one line at a time, forgetting about whatever the shape looks like. I'm handling one line at a time. The last one is going to be line 5. So at this point, the only line that's now not been done yet with regards to sectioning is T5, which is T5. We can see on the section line, it has been intersected at that point. So our intersecting point is right there. We can see that. What happens now is that the part behind the section line, that falls away up to that point. So from point T to the section line falls away. Let me zoom in on this. From point T to that point there falls away. Point T is gone, as you can see. There's no point T, so I'm going to take away this point T. We know that we have got a pentagon, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 sides. So I'm going to join 1 with point 2, 2 with point 3, 3 with point 4, 4 with point 5, and 5 with point 1. That is the figure that we would have had if we measured 1, skipped 1, and drew the whole top view to start off with. The section part, we've now encircled all the little sections and we've taken away one line at a time. So let's join them with one another. Now, at this point, it seems confusing, but let's have a look at what the whole thing looks like. If we took away that and we looked from the top, we would then obviously see the hatched part or sectioned part, and everything that is inside will fall away. But the base is underneath all of this, so the base should actually be invisible, except for the outlines thereof. So let's do that. Let's take away the lines that should have been hidden lines. Line 5, this line must be taken away. This line 3 is going to be taken away. You won't see that. Line 4, this one, that little part there, that will be taken away because it's all inside of this hatched area. And that is what we are left with. This is what my top view would have looked like. The point that I'm making here, this looks like a more difficult method than before, but it was to show you that we do one line at a time. We can do one line at a time, one line at a time, one line at a time, and then see how the section fits. Once you're done, that is what your top sectional view would have looked like. So as you can see, handle one line at a time. Don't try and make sense of the whole thing if you find it so extremely difficult.